What's up, guys? I'm BTC. We just got a brand new patch, and along with it is a ton of new stuff. The Symmetra Rework, Looking for Group, endorsements, buffs to Doomfist, and others. All of this stuff and more. Let's check it out. There's a ton of stuff in this patch, and a lot of it is really big, the entire Looking for Group system, but we're going to start with some of the character changes. The first thing to talk about is a potential nerf for Hanzo. So this was not included in today's patch notes, and it's kind of coming indirectly from Jeff Kaplan, so again, not 100% confirmed, but it does seem like an ultimate nerf for Hanzo is coming up pretty soon. It's probably going to be on the next PTR. Again, we don't have any specifics about what this nerf is going to be. My guess would likely be the charge rate for the ultimate, simply because Hanzo is getting his ultimate almost every single fight, or at least every fight and a half, and it's just far too frequently for the power of the character right now, so that's likely the best thing that they're going to change. So, the first ones, we'll run through these real fast. Doomfist did get a buff, his Meteor Strike. The movement speed was increased from 150% to 200%. Shield gain was increased from 30 to 35. So, this is going to make him just able to move around the map a little bit faster, and he's going to have more survivability when he is trying to initiate with his regular attacks. Next up is McCree. This is technically a buff, but it's garbage, and it will not affect anything at all. This is his ultimate Deadeye. The range was increased from 70 meters to 200 meters. Just to give you an idea, 70 meters is more than enough for almost every situation in the game. This will almost never come into play. So this is a buff, but it doesn't actually do anything. Next up is Orisa. The supercharger or ultimate cost was reduced by 15%. This just means she's going to be able to get that ultimate and use it a lot more frequently, which is going to be a huge damage boost for the rest of her team. So that is pretty big. Next up is Moira. She got a pretty significant nerf. This is going to severely damage the character. And I don't know why they did it, because the pick rate on Moira is already dropping quite a bit, and this is certainly not going to help it at all. I don't know why they did this. But the change is that she can no longer heal through enemy barriers. Instead, it's going to function exactly like Ana's interaction with. So how it works now is Mercy and Zenyatta can heal through enemy barriers. Lucio and Brigitte need to have line of sight to the center of your teammate near the barrier. And then Ana and Moira can heal a teammate as long as they can see even the tiniest sliver of the teammate on the other side of the barrier. If they can see that, then they can heal it. So that is how the three different categories of healing will now work. And the last one is Symmetra 3.0. So when you talk about giving a character buffs, usually it's just slightly increasing the strength of an existing ability. When there's a rework, it's usually swapping out or modifying one or two abilities. But with the Symmetra 3.0, it is essentially a brand new character. No amount of experience that you have on the previous version of Symmetra is going to help you with the new version of Symmetra. It is completely different. The attacks, the abilities, the ultimate, everything. Even though she has a teleporter, it functions in a completely different way than the old teleporter did. I already made a Mythbuster video where I went through all of the different interactions with the teleporter, the mini sentries, all that stuff. So if you want to know how anything will interact with something else, go and check that video out. There'll be a link for that down below. Also, I'm working on a full guide that will completely explain all of the new abilities, everything about the character, and include a bunch of tips, tricks, and tactics for mastering the new version of Symmetra. It should be coming out either later today or tomorrow. So if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it. Also, I want to point out that Symmetra is locked out of the competitive game mode, so they are treating her like a brand new character. Now, Season 10 is ending in a day, and then we're going to have a couple of days of downtime, and then Season 11 will pick up. I don't know when they're going to re-enable Symmetra. It might be a week, it might be at the start of Season 11, or they might wait the full 2 weeks like they would for a brand new character. We'll just have to wait and see for that. There have also been some pretty big social changes. The first one is the ability to hide your career profile. So you go to options, go to social, and then you'll see career profile visibility. Now, originally they told us that it was going to be set default as private, but I haven't touched mine at all, and it seems like the default was friends only. So you can now change this to public, where everybody can see it, private, only you can, or so you can have it so friends only. Now, I talked about this in the past. You're always going to have an advantage by making it hidden. That means the enemy team cannot see what kind of characters you're likely to run. You can always tell your team what kind of characters you're going to run as long as you're communicating, but hiding it from the enemy team is always going to give you an advantage. Now, the other system that they've added is the endorsements. So you can see right here, there's this little number 1, and that is the endorsement system. So Blizzard says they want to acknowledge your fellow Overwatch players' positivity with endorsements. Recognize commendable behavior for players exhibiting sportsmanship, being a good teammate, or for shot calling. Commend players who lead you to victory, put your team's needs above their own, or exhibit humility in victory or grace in defeat. Endorsements are readily available to view on career profiles, the group menu, and more, so you can tell at a glance the types of players you're dealing with. Those who consistently maintain a high endorsement level will receive periodic rewards, while those who display negative behavior or accrue suspensions will lose their endorsements. So there was a little bit of a misunderstanding on how this works. It's essentially a player rating system, but you cannot give someone a bad rating. You can only give someone a positive rating. You can only increase their endorsement. You can never decrease it. The only way it gets decreased is if they do something wrong, like they throw a match, they troll, they get suspended for this, that, the other thing, whatever it happens to be. So you can only increase other people's endorsements. At the end of every single match, you can use 3 of them, and it can be on your team or the enemy team. You get a little tiny bit of XP bonus every time you endorse someone, so there's really not much reason to not endorse people who you see in these matches. The biggest thing, of course, is the looking for group. This is going to be really good for people who use it, and really bad for people that don't use it, and I'll explain that in just a minute. So to get started, the yellow box on the top right, you have all the different group names, the creators, the type of match. You can see with the competitive, you can also set the plus or minus for their skill rating, and then of course all the hero slots. So you go to create, you have the name of the group, you can change it to whatever you want. So for competitive elimination, I can change that. Wants the voice chat, let's go back to quick play here, and then you have enforced rules. It means if they pick tank, they have to play tank. Can they invite? The minimum endorsement level. If they have a low endorsement and you don't want them in your group, then you can lock them out. So only the higher endorsement people, the more likely to be cooperative people, can join. And then of course you have all of the different roles here. And what you can do is you go next, and then you pick the role that you want, and then you create it. Now, this is what I was talking about when I said it's going to be really good, because this means that you can create a group that is going to conform to the strategy and the team comp that you want to have. And you can guarantee that if the people have a high endorsement rating, then chances are they're going to be cooperative and friendly, and they're going to work together in order to win. Now, the big problem with all this is for people that don't use the looking for group system. So those that tend to be throwers or toxic are going to have very low endorsement ratings, which means they're not going to be picked for these groups. They're not going to be eligible for these groups. So they're going to be forced into solo queuing quite a bit. And if you also solo queue, that means you're going to get stuck in matches with all the throwers, all the leavers, and all the toxic players that can't get into the looking for group system. So if you're using it, then it's going to be good, because you're going to get good teammates. If you're not using it, you're going to get all of the garbage that's left over. So that's a pretty big problem. And Blizzard, I know they're taking this kind of like, oh, we want to encourage positive behavior kind of thing, but that means that they're taking all of the bad people and they're putting them in solo queue, and it's going to be really bad for people that also solo queue. So that is definitely going to need to be addressed. Another big change with this patch was the rework of the Horizon Lunar colony. I've already made a video that does a complete walkthrough of all of the changes in this map. So you really should go and check that out because there definitely has been a lot of stuff that has changed. So as you can see right away that the first capture point has a bunch of different changes on the upper area. There's more walls, there's now a staircase, the doors are gone, and then when we go to the second capture point, you'll notice up top here, there's now more defensible areas for the defenders. The spawn room has also been changed, so now they can't just run straight out through this little opening here. They have to go to one of the sides in order to get out of the spawn room. So that's going to add a little bit of extra time in order for the defenders to get out here. Instead, there's just a little mini that's right there instead of the spawn room. And you have the staircase right there that allows any of the defenders to get up here. There are a ton of changes. Like I said, I did a full walkthrough. The link for that video will be down below. Guys, what do you think about all the changes in today's patch? Let me know down below. Thanks for watching. Make sure to check out my Discord server. Follow me on Twitch and Twitter. The links for that stuff are down below. And remember, always blame the controller because it's never your fault. Also, special thanks to all my Patreon supporters for helping to make this all possible. If you'd like to see what kind of cool rewards you can get for supporting the channel, check the links on screen and down below.